Lake Geneva lemɑ, sometimes Lac de Genève, German. Genfersee is a lake on the north side of the Alps, shared between Switzerland and France. It is one of the largest lakes in Western Europe and the largest on the course of the Rhône. 59.53% of it comes under the jurisdiction of Switzerland, and 40.47% under France. Lake Geneva has been explored by 4 submarines, the Auguste Piccard and the F.A. Forel, both built by Jacques Piccard, and the 2 mere submersibles. Name. The first recorded name of the lake is Lacus Lemmanus, dated from Roman times. Lemmanus comes from ancient Greek limanos, limnos lim, lambda iota mu epsilon nu omicron sigma lambda iota mu nu eta, meaning port's lake. It became Lacus Lazonius, although this name was also used for a town or district on the lake, Lacus Lausanitz, and then the Lac de Lausanne in the Middle Ages. Following the rise of Geneva, it became Lac de Genève. In the 18th century, Lac Léacute was revived in French and is the customary name in the language. In contemporary English, the name Lake Geneva is predominant. A note on pronunciation. English: Lake Geneva, located in EVE. French: Le Lac Léacute. German: Genfersee, Genfersee. Italian: Lago Lemano, Lago di Ginevra. Geography. Lake Geneva is divided into 3 parts because of its different forms of formation. Lac, the eastern part from the Rhône estuary to the line of Milleray rivers. Lac, the largest and deepest basin with the lake's largest width. Petit Lac, the most southwest, narrower and less steep part from Ivoire Promenlo next Prangins to the exit in Geneva. According to the Swiss Federal Office of Topography, Swiss Topo, Lac de Genève designates that part of the Petit Lac, which lies within the cantonal borders of Geneva, so about from Versailles-Hermance to the Rhône outflow in Geneva. The Chablais Alps border is its southern shore. The western Bernese Alps lie over its eastern side. The high summits of Grand Combin and Mont Blanc are visible from some places. Compagnie Générale de Navigation sur le Lac Léacute and operates boats on the lake. The lake lies on the course of the Rhône. The river has its source at the Rhône Glacier near the Grimsel Pass to the east of the lake and flows down through the canton of Valais, entering the lake between Villeneuve and Le Bouveret, before flowing slowly towards its egress at Geneva. Other tributaries are La Drance, La Aubonne, La Morges, La Venoge, La Vouachère, and La Vevis. Lake Geneva is the largest body of water in Switzerland, and greatly exceeds in size all others that connected with the main valleys of the Alps. It is in the shape of a crescent, with the horns pointing south, the northern shore being 95 kilometers, the southern shore 72 kilometers in length. The crescent form was more regular in a recent geological period, when the lake extended to Bex, about 18 kilometers south of Villeneuve. The detritus of the Rhône has filled up this portion of the bed of the lake, and it appears that within the historical period the waters extended about 2 kilometers beyond the present eastern margin of the lake. The greatest depth of the lake, in the broad portion between Evian-les-Bains and Lausanne, where it is just 13 kilometers in width, has been measured as 310 meters, putting the bottom of the lake at 62 meters above sea level. The lake's surface is the lowest point of the cantons of Valais and Vaud. The culminating point of the lake's drainage basin is Monte Rosa at 4,634 meters above sea level. The beauty of the shores of the lake and of the sites of many of the places near its banks has long been celebrated. However, it is only from the eastern end of the lake, between Viviers and Villeneuve, that the scenery assumes an alpine character. On the south side, the mountains of Savoy and Valais are for the most part rising rugged and somber, while those of the northern shore fall in gentle vine-covered slopes, thickly set with villages and castles. The snowy peaks of the Mont Blanc are shut out from the western end of the lake by the Voyans mountain, and from its eastern end by the boulder summits of the Grammont, Cornets, the Bees and Dent d'Oche, but are seen from Geneva, and between Nyon and Morges. From Vevey to Bex, where the lake originally extended, the shores are enclosed by comparatively high and bold mountains, and the vista terminates in the grand portal of the defile of St. Maurice, cleft to a depth of nearly 2,700 meters between the opposite peaks of the Dents du Midi and the Dent de Morcles. The shore between Nyon and Lausanne is called Le Côte because it is flatter. Between Lausanne and Vevey it is called Le Vaux and is famous for its hilly vineyards. The average surface elevation of 372 meters above sea level is controlled by the Sujet Dam in Geneva. Environment. In 563, according to the writings of Gregory of Tours and Marius Aventincensis, a tsunami wave swept along the lake, destroying the fort of Tauredunim and other settlements and causing numerous deaths in Geneva. Simulations indicate that the Tauredunim event was most likely caused by a massive landslide near the Rhône Delta, which caused a wave 8 meters high to reach Geneva within 70 minutes. In 888 the town was part of the new kingdom of Burgundy, and with it was taken over in 1033 by the German emperor. In the late 1960s, pollution made it dangerous to swim at some beaches of the lake. Indeed, visibility underwater was near zero. By the 1980s, intense environmental pollution had almost wiped out all the fish. Today, pollution levels have been dramatically cut back, and it is again considered safe to swim in the lake. Major leisure activities practiced include sailing, windsurfing, boating, rowing, scuba diving and bathing. On a scientific footnote, in 1827, Lake Geneva was the site for the first measurement of the speed of sound in water. French mathematician Jacques-Charles François Sturm and Swiss physicist Daniel Colladon used two moored boats, separated by a measured distance, as the transmit and receive platforms for the sounds of exploding gunpowder. The loud airborne sound coupled into the lake, establishing a loud underwater sound that could be measured at a distance. The flash of the exploding gunpowder provided the visual starting cue for the timepiece, and the underwater explosion sound striking of bell provided the finish cue. The lake is rich in wildlife, especially birds. Both the common buzzard and the red kite breed here in considerable numbers. Sport events. Yacht racing is a popular sport, and high-performance catamarans have been developed specifically for the lake. The design of the Alinghi 5, the defender of the 2010 America's Cup, was influenced by those racing catamarans. The best-known event, the Bal d'Or, runs from Geneva to the end of the lake and back. Also, the rowing event Tour du Lac takes place on the Lake Geneva. The regatta runs one time around the lake and is at a distance of 160 kilometers, the longest non-stop rowing regatta in the world. Towns and villages. Notable residents. Mary and Percy Shelley and Lord Byron holidayed by the lake and wrote ghost stories, one of which became the basis for the novel Frankenstein. The Empress Elizabeth of Austria was stabbed to death on the quayside in Geneva in September 1898. Vladimir Lenin rented a little chalet at the French Bank, near Geneva. Actor Charlie Chaplin spent his final years and died in Vevey. Actors Noel Coward, James Mason, Peter Ustinov, Richard Burton, and Audrey Hepburn all lived in villages on the shores of or in view of the lake. David Bowie moved to a chalet to the north of Lake Geneva in 1976, which inspired him to take up painting and informed the first stages of the Berlin trilogy. Pop singer Phil Collins lives in a home overlooking the lake. Rock band Queen owned and operated Mountain Recording Studios in Montreux, and a statue of lead singer Freddie Mercury, who also owned a second home in Montreux, stands on the northern shore of the lake. Ex-Formula One driver Michael Schumacher lives with his family in a home overlooking the lake.